everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of the Interjections podcast. We're covering possibly a very hidden gem at this point in our lives. We, at the Undiscovered Decade, cover films from the 1990s that maybe we missed or the society at large has kind of forgotten about. And so we look month by month at a film in particular and discuss it. And we've chosen one for October 1991. And you may notice a theme. We are cool as ice. So this film came because of the record company SBK, which is part of EMI Music. They saw Boys in the Hood, which we covered a few months ago, and were thinking about what artist could we possibly get to center a film around. And of all people, they chose Vanilla Ice. So
a very vanilla decision.
Yeah, he
was the hottest guy of his day, man.
Well,
look at that jawline.
He was dating Madonna. He had just come off a hit record, and he had that huge cameo in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze.
My God, he did, didn't he?
That was the height of his career.
Yeah. So he's basically in this is his second film technically, and he only ever does like 4, and they're all cameos where he is himself. So
until he starts showing up in Adam Sandler movies later in life.
Yeah. There's not much plot to this, so
I disagree.
Hang on. I've got thoughts about this movie, and we'll get there once we go through the synopsis. But sure. I took 3 pages of notes on Cool as Ice, and I'm determined to make all of you suffer through it.
What?
I mean,
oh boy,
that's not very cool, man. You need to chill out now.
So
old man jokes.
Pretty much, it's just he's kind of, was it you that was saying this? It was kind of like Rebel Without a Cause, where he just shows up to a town and kind of takes over the community.
Oh no, I was saying Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing.
Yeah,
that's what it was last night. Yeah. I thought Rebel Without a Cause and never actually brought it up.
I thought like it was like a very happy-go-lucky Romeo and Juliet. He is kind of Dirty Dancing because it's like happy-go-lucky. There's no tragedy at the end. So
right. He is kind of like a Patrick Swayze type, where he's too cool for everyone else and everyone knows it, but they don't.
Rebel without a clue.
Everyone else liking him. So he shows up and there's a girl riding her horse through the field, and he scares her to death by jumping his motorbike over the fence.
No ramp, by the way.
He wanted to show off his biking skills.
One of the greatest shots in the movie is Vanilla Ice going down the street. You see him on his own steed, which is a bright yellow Yamaha, crotch rocket motorbike.
Yeah. Jeff, why are you not on one on your background?
Listen, there were too many good choices for background, so I'm just going to leave it up right now. Mm-hmm. But he's looking back and forth at this girl who's on a horse that literally just and then he has the brilliant idea to jump over the fence and cut off the horse, and that's how he's going to get her attention.
And then he makes her apologize to him
after she falls off of the horse.
That he's startled.
He nearly turns her into Reeve.
We almost had a Christopher Reeve situation on our hands. It was.
Oh God! I bet we all thought it. I didn't expect anyone to actually say it.
I didn't think you're just a terrible person.
Yeah, we're all a little terrible.
So my favorite scene is when he goes to her house unannounced when the boyfriend's there, and my sympathies. That's how misguided that I know the movie is. My sympathies were totally with the boyfriend at that time.
Yeah.
He insults him. He grabs her by the arm, then he steals some of her property, and he's supposed to be the protagonist.
Hero.
There's a reason Michael Gross doesn't trust him, and they set it up because of what Michael Gross is, this girl's father that he ingratiates himself with.
I wish it was Burt Gummer in this so he could have blown him away.
Exactly. It's a great connection to our first film that we covered, but Michael Gross is kind of hamstrung here by playing this guy who is in witness protection, and he's trying to establish a new life, and his daughter doesn't know what her father's past was, and so it starts to catch up to Michael Gross, and that happens to be when Vanilla Ice shows up.
Well,
And he
what happened
starts talking outside to the guys that are here to get him, and so Michael Gross assumes he's part of that.
Yeah, no. Like the way this whole thing like blows up is like Vanilla Ice meets this girl, and like later on he's chilling with his friends, and then on TV this girl shows up again, and he's like, oh hey, it's that chick, and it turns out like she's getting an interview from the local news because like she's like high up on the academic scholastic blah 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 goody two shoe. I got all the good grades, I'm going to go to some awesome college.
Yeah,
and dad's there in the interview, and he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm proud of my daughter, but also trying to hide his head from the camera. And then we cut to the next shot of some goon in a bar going like, hey, it's that guy.
It's Jack McGee from Rescue Me.
Yeah, and it turns out like the goons in the movie are like ex-cops that were corrupt, and like the father ratted them out.
Well, I actually forgot.
You want to? You checked out of this movie, man.
I wrote in our guide that they were mafia. I just assumed he was the bookie.
No, they were all.
So apparently
he was a former police
Jeff
officer.
And I definitely were like into the movie.
Yeah,
he was a former.
Let me ask you something. Why does his one friend take his bike to a guy who does like avant-garde collegiate art?
And
okay, no. We gotta back up. Okay, so first of all, how Vanilla Ice gets there, he and his homies are riding through town on their bikes, and one of them breaks down, and so they have to they basically hole up at this garage that's owned by this weird old couple that for some reason have a pastel colored paradise for a garage. Like they make, like Corey said, they just make college art
everywhere.
Perfect backdrop for music videos, just enough plausibility.
Right, exactly. And it's just, and going through the plot of this, you can tell that where his talents lie, because they can't go 10 minutes without him somehow breaking into a music video or a dance number.
Yeah, no, the whole movie is elongated music
but
video.
what about that fight scene? That choreography was.
We're jumping all over, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that there are these other mom and pop type characters which are taking care of his sidekicks while they're.
Well, they also seem to be maybe borderline senile.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're trying to put.
It actually feels as chaotic as the movie does, so I don't mind.
Yeah.
One from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He plays one of the patients.
I do feel like though that they were trying to go with a bit of a Romeo and Juliet feel.
Oh yeah.
Because the real vibe that I got from the old couple at the garage was like the apothecary in Baz Luhrmann's version.
You know what?
Which didn't happen until 6 years later, but.
Did you hear that? Lady in the Tramp.
A better analogy would be Lady in the Tramp, because high class girl,
low class
dude. Yet somehow this low class dude has a nice bike, but I guess he's an entertainer in this universe that he's in. So
is Lady in the Tramp essentially a Romeo and Juliet?
Well, it's not a tragedy, and then they get together in the end.
It's not. I mean, every romance movie is technically Romeo and Juliet.
That's more of a Rebel Without Cause.
Yeah, I guess I got stricter guidelines for Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
But I mean, just going off of the side characters are the important parts too, because I don't know, but
did you know who one of Vanilla's boys was? Deezer D.
Yeah.
Malik from ER. Since we were talking about Anthony Edwards last month.
Yep.
I was happy to see him in anything else. He was a bit of a rapper himself, and so I always liked him on ER. So I thought it was cool that he got something else. But
what's practically a supporting character in the movie? Vanilla Ice's wardrobe.
Yeah.
True.
And his haircut.
A dice hat. And he's got some crisscross patterns in his hair. He was a fashion plate.
Yeah.
His haircut is literally his head is full of bricks. Literally, you look at the back of his head.
That's his haircut?
That's his haircut. But that, I don't know, man. I do agree with the Rebel Without a Cause thing. I got Rebel Without a Clue over here with the it's just a more fluorescent James Dean.
You gotta talk about that fight scene.
The final one.
Which one?
But it's outside the bar where he's doing choreography where a guy literally flips himself in order to make it look like make it look like he actually flipped the guy.
All right, so let's talk about it.
Oh,
It's
no,
very
better yet, let's talk about the kidnapping. There's a kidnapping.
Right, yeah, that whole thing. Right,
What?
because there's
What,
because
really?
he's in
Oh, the kid, right.
right.
Oh my
because
God.
because the family is in witness protection. The dad is super against her talking to anyone, let alone this weirdo who rides up on his bike. Because when he's looking out the window, it happens to be at the same time that like these two goons who have been following him for 20 years are also like right next to him. So he thinks that, ICE is involved.
Like, it
It was
was
a
a
little sitcom-y.
Yeah, it was a simple situation where he was just asking for directions to get to a place to meet a girl. And
He was
then,
a good guy in a bad situation, and it's just
I don't know
it
that
happens.
he's a good guy.
No,
It's stolen her
well,
personnel.
he's at least well.
This is
Yeah.
about as good as you get for like, early 1990s Vanilla Ice.
Yeah. That's the problem.
Right. I mean, he's no Lady Gaga in Star is Born, but let's
A black hole is born, more like it.
So yeah, Jimmy, why don't you talk about the kidnapping and that masterful scene?
Oh yeah, no. The kid gets kidnapped.
Oh my God.
Well, the
Okay.
kid brother. You just
All right. The girl he's into has a younger brother.
The door, like, hey kid, we're kidnapping you, and they take the kid away. And
But the girl he's into has a younger brother who really, really likes Vanilla Ice and like wants him to be his.
Well, he doesn't really like Vanilla Ice. He just likes that he has a bike and he wants to ride his bike.
He's just like, wow, this cool guy that is liking my sister. Like,
He's not a square like her friend from high school I've known our whole lives.
right. And so like,
I think there's an underlying story about
A father figure that he doesn't have.
or an older
Yeah.
brother, or
No,
like,
there is-
or the kid, has a little bit of a crush, and like he uses the metaphor of riding the bike as
all
riding
right. But they do. But when they have
He's not wrong.
when Ice and Catherine, whatever her name is, have a
Cat.
they have their little date at the construction site where they're like talking and dancing, and it's like a dream sequence. And he confesses he literally asks her, "So what's it like having parents and shit?" We're like, wait a minute, is that like,
Oh yeah,
is that a B plot that we're supposed to be?
You think like he has enough friends that they would let him know? It's like, oh yeah, no, it's pretty dope. And then he's like, or does he just hang around with only orphans all the time?
Yeah, did he never ask his three best friends?
Or anybody that he's bumped into his travels? Like you had to have known what parents are like based on like some conversation,
Right. Like he just doesn't understand the concept of parents.
You think Vanilla Ice is autistic?
No, he just did a lot of drugs, man. It was the 90s.
I mean, in the movie, do you think his character would be considered autistic?
No, I think his character was Vanilla Ice.
I mean, maybe Vanilla Ice is autistic.
It's possible.
He's on the spectrum. He doesn't understand families.
God. But speaking of families, he's got a younger brother. She's got a younger brother that, Ice is trying to get closer to the family. So he's like, "All right, what's up, Slick?" Like he calls the brother Slick, and he's like, "Hey, just why don't we go for a ride on the bike?" Or it's more like relenting too. But eventually, he takes the kid for a bike ride, and then the girl's ex-boyfriend, who Ice beat up earlier in the movie, sees them driving by. I was like, well, that's weird. What's going on?
And then he tells the cops, and the cops he kidnaps the kid.
He tells the cops after Ice returns the kid home safely. And he's like, all right, man, see you later. And then 5 minutes later, his, the dirty cop goons kidnap the kid. And so, of course, Michael Gross thinks that it's, it was all Vanilla Ice's doing. Johnny, I'm sorry, we should be calling him by his character name, Johnny.
Wait, the little brother had a name.
You have to respect the artist here.
Oh, Vanilla. He had his
Johnny Guitar.
wow. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't remember him having a name.
Do you know his real name?
Like Vanilla Ice's real
Yeah.
name?
It's like Robert something.
Was it Robert Paulson?
It's Rob Van
No.
Winkle, I think.
His name is Robert Paulson?
No.
It's an F.
What?
It's an F.
What's an
Wow.
F?
Hang
Moving
on.
on.
Hang on. No. One
Moving on.
last thing. I know what you're
Whoa.
doing. One last thing.
We're
We got to
giving it
talk
an
about
F.
how. No, this is the
I mean,
last thing.
at
I swear to
At
God.
least a D plus.
I'd give it like a D minus.
D plus.
C plus.
The
You know
worst
why?
thing we've seen on this podcast.
The first music video was fun, but then I kind of fell
What?
asleep after that.
Wait, the whole movie was a music video.
You're forgetting the best part of the movie.
Just like in Harley Davidson, they had a
Right.
cameo from someone dancing, and it was, who was it? Vanessa Williams? Or was
Naomi
that-
Campbell.
Naomi Campbell. Vanessa Williams is the Harley Davidson cameo. Naomi Campbell, and she dances in the music video and then never seen again.
This is one of those
Because
rare
they
cases.
sacrificed her to their gods.
Waste of time.
This is one of those rare cases where the film is saved by its cinematography.
Oh yeah, no,
Because it is a
Beautifully
beautifully
timed.
shot movie. And you know why? Do you
I
know
know
who
who
the
did it.
cinematographer was?
Janusz
Janusz
Kaminski.
Kaminski, who went on to be Spielberg's DP.
Two-time
This dude-
Oscar winner.
The dude who shot Cool as Ice went on to shoot Schindler's
What?
List and War Horse.
Okay, all right, okay. I'll put it
I
this
mean,
way. I'll
no.
put it this way. I'll give it a D minus as a movie overall, but if you really enjoy cinematography, then a C minus.
This is something to
Or D plus. D
enjoy
plus, C
on
minus, yeah.
altered reality. So it's not as bad as I expected. It's not
What?
even close to a good movie, but it was pretty.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the director's a music video director, so it's like he should have just been directing like a long form thing for Vanilla Ice. Do what they did with Michael Jackson back
That
in the
fisheye
80s.
lens during the chase scene was nauseating.
Yeah,
Was-
I mean,
was
he's
a feat-
cutting his teeth here.
There's a feature-length MTV video.
Hey, and Janusz Kaminski, I'll write him off like Akiva Goldsman. Akiva Goldsman wrote Batman and Robin, then he won an Oscar for A Beautiful Mind. Doesn't matter, it's the same guy.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to start somewhere, all right? But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. C
Let's talk about
plus.
Something that's
C
That's
plus for
really
cool plus.
Let's talk about something that's truly Halloween themed that came out this month. Ernest Scared Stupid.
Does he?
There's a better movie. We should have just talked about that.
No. Maybe.
How could we forget
Yeah.
about Ernest P. Worrell?
It's less horrifying than Vanilla Ice's wardrobe.
It's true.
I mean, it is pretty ghoulish though.
There you go.
Very good.
Imagine I'm in a pumpkin.
See, this is actually a special episode because we're doing a double feature. We're actually covering Ernest Scared Stupid because we thought Cool as Ice would be complete garbage. But
I
there
mean,
wasn't
it wasn't
really anything
complete
else.
Boy,
better.
were we wrong.
Three of us were surprised. Corey knew better. But I also had never seen Ernest Scared Stupid, so I wanted to see this
Yeah.
and talk about it. And,
He
and-
had a deprived childhood, which explains why he's such a I don't know what you are now.
such a what?
Because you missed out on Ernest. Like it's like you're missing something in your
I'm
soul. It's like you
Hang
got
on.
the devil
Whoa,
right
whoa,
there
whoa,
in
whoa,
ya.
whoa, whoa. You'd never seen an
This
Ernest?
is my first Ernest movie.
Oh my God.
This also wasn't a chance for all of you to tell me about all the Ernest movies. Since
Well-
you
Oh, we
said
were
you were
supposed to
fans.
tell you?
Yeah, we're gonna do like our little Ernest retrospective now.
If we're gonna
Oh,
if we're gonna
okay.
talk about the Ernest Scared Stupid, we gotta talk about the origins of Ernest. So he's a creation by Jim Varney. He appeared in a lot of commercials, mostly local commercials. I think they shot over 3,000 local commercials. He's from Nashville. In all the commercials, it's usually for local businesses like grocery stores, gas stations, stuff like that. And he's talking to his non-existent neighbor that you never see called Vern, basically annoying him. And he's talking straight into the lens as if you're Vern trying to sell you on something. He's affable, he's accident prone, he's stupid, but there's something genuinely amiable about
He's relatable.
And so I guess those took off and became nationwide sensations. So eventually Touchstone, which was owned by Disney, bought the rights to Ernest and started putting them in movies. First movie was Goes to Camp. Second movie was Saves Christmas. Third was Goes to Jail, and this is the fourth one. And after that, they did Ernest Rides Again, which was the last theatrical one.
Yeah.
And then after that, they started going direct to video at that point.
Well, they did. What was it? Ernest Goes to Africa.
I didn't see that one. The last one I watched was Slam Dunk Ernest, where he gets. It's like Mike, actually.
Or like Air Bud.
Both better movies.
Which was out around the same time. So if I remember correctly, I read that it was such a hit, the first one, Goes to Camp. They had signed up for 2 movies, but they extended it to 4 or 5. And then when this one in particular didn't do as well as the other 3, unfortunately, they kind of just canned it after the 5th, which did even worse. And so that's why it went straight to DVD. He kind of like peaked right around here, maybe the one before where he goes to jail.
Right.
So
maybe not so much he peaked, but more the writers who
the interest in it too.
True.
You know, it's like he's a little gimmicky. So if you've seen one, you've seen them all in a way, I'm getting. Is that correct?
More or less. I mean, there's very unique jokes.
Imagine if Bill Nye was dumb, like Bill Nye's character on his kids' science show was dumb and got involved in like hijinks. Like that's kind of that level of it's slapstick to a point.
There was a Saturday morning science show that wasn't Bill Nye, but there was
Beekman's World.
Beekman's World, and he had a rat.
Yeah.
Rat, yeah. I like Beekman's better because it reminded me of stuff like Ernest. So I got my Ernest bug or itch scratched by Beekman's World. I love that show.
So yeah, no, I mean, I remember loving the Ernest movies as a kid, and just like that was the one that like the tape we wore out of my aunt's house when like she didn't want to deal with us anymore. Like that was
which one? This movie?
Actually, Ernest Goes to Prison or Goes to Jail. That was
that's my favorite one.
Yeah. But the I mean, this one specifically, I don't know if we want to get into like the synopsis of Scared Stupid.
Sure.
Am I gonna? All right, fine.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so lovable old Ernest apparently is the descendant of some member of the community who 120 years ago there was a troll that was terrorizing the town of Briarville, Missouri, where they all live, and Ernest's great-great-grandfather, who was like, I guess the pastor of the town or something, banished this
like
troll to live under a tree on this old abandoned land. And, so it opens with this like ancient thing where, of course, Jim Varney's playing his great-great-grandfather.
Nice touch.
And so for a second, I'm like, is he the bad guy in this? Wait a minute. But then, fast forward to today. Oh, no, I'm sorry, because once he locked the troll up, the troll put a curse on him that each and every one of his descendants would get dumber and dumber and dumber. And then
also
you cut to a shot of Ernest in present day being 1991. Yeah. And where he's working as a sanitation worker for the township, but he's still like, he's got the heart of a child, and he's got which comes back around later on. He's got his dog named Rimshot.
He's basically Barney Fife, right? That's what I'm getting.
A little bit of Barney Fife, a little bit of.
He's a jack of all trades, but he's mostly an inventor.
Yeah, I like that. It reminded me of
Bill Haywire.
If Rube Goldberg himself became a cartoon character.
Yeah.
And he's trying to make like all these wacky things that the township is just like, can you just do your job and like quit messing around? Yeah. And of course, he identifies more with like the imagination of the kids in town, and so they ask him to help them build a tree house, partly to escape the bullies and partly just to something to do, somewhere to hang out.
Yeah, because bullies can't climb trees.
Exactly.
Well, they can't.
It's been proven.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's been proven. If you're a bully, you can't climb a tree.
It's covered in honey.
The only way to climb a tree is to repent.
No, bears like honey. They'll crawl up. So
bears, bullies, same thing.
no. I was explaining the difference. Bears like honey, so they'll climb up a tree. But if you put honey on a tree, bullies can't climb up.
It's true.
Gotcha.
Too
That's
sticky.
true. That's true.
You know, they don't have claws. The next
By
thing
the
you know,
way,
they got dirt and grime in the honey hands, and bugs and bees come along, and then the bears show up and they want to eat the bullies. That's why it comes to tree and honey.
Head door that haunted
So-
house they were making though.
So
There's a little
they
flimsy.
go to like the of course the weird abandoned part of town, because that's where all the best trees are. And it's on
toxic waste.
abandoned land that happens to be owned by this old witch / inventor played by Eartha Kitt,
Of all people.
of all people, to appear in an Ernest movie.
I mean,
Here's an interesting fact that'll relate this to you. Halfway through, I'm like, she looks like Yzma from Emperor's New Groove, which is what she will end up doing about 10 years later. The casting director of Ernest Scared Stupid and all the other Ernest movies cast her in this, and when he was on Emperor's New Groove, remembered her. It was like, you'd be perfect for this. Just use your voice from Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yeah. For a hot second, though, I thought it was Alex Borstein.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like the first time you see her, I'm like, is that Alex Borstein? Oh, nope, that's Eartha Kitt.
you know, I remember from when I was a kid. It's like
the best Catwoman.
It's Yzma, right? Yzma.
Yzma.
Yeah, Yzma. Because like I suck with the actors' names sometimes.
But Eartha
half the
Kitt's
time.
huge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
But
have a story about her, actually, if you want to hear.
sure.
Going through the stuff to like remember what their other performances were, and she's had a long line of stage credits and films and TV before this, so she's one of the longest lived people up to this point for our podcast. I noticed that she apparently was invited to a dinner with Lyndon B. Johnson and Lady Bird, and Lady Bird asked her a question about like, how do you feel about Vietnam, because that was happening at the time. I don't know why she's asking an actor this, but Eartha Kitt quit that conversation and was like, I don't like that you're sending all the black boys over there just to die, so we're losing all our people, and made Lady Bird cry at her dinner, and she was banned. And apparently the FBI had like a flame war against her that was gonna discredit her and called her like she was a whore and all sorts of things to like kill her career.
Because she spoke her mind?
Right.
Thanks,
So
LPJ.
This is actually a little bit of a personal story to my mom. She went to see the Tony Awards in rehearsal back in 2000 it was. And that year she was up for a Tony for The Wild Party, which also starred Mandy Patinkin. Now, I remember as a kid hearing how much of a diva Eartha Kitt was. And this is from Mom's story, seeing the rehearsal. They had to perform a number from The Wild Party, and Mandy Patinkin kept stopping it because he was such a diva. He needed it perfect. And Eartha just looks at him and he's like, honey, if it ain't right during this, it's not going to get better then. And they just did it, and it was fine. And they were fine during the actual show. But she was actually not like what her normal perception was. Everyone thought she was like too much, but she spoke her mind. That's all it was. So, and I just thought it was cool that Mom got to see her perform technically.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
cool.
like, you don't see the rehearsals. So
Yeah. No, that's cool. So
anyway,
no,
back to
I mean
Freewheeling.
that's fascinating. I actually didn't know too much about her before this.
I really just knew her as
but-
Catwoman. That's all.
Yeah.
And then Yzma came up well after this movie. So
right.
that's pretty much what people our age would know her for.
Right.
And they might not even know Catwoman.
Unless they're like
But-
voted nerds.
Yeah. And that's in the 60s Batman show with Adam West.
Yeah.
For those that don't actually know.
Which I forgot about that as well. But so anyway,
Sorry, I
Build
derailed
the
you.
treehouse.
I mean,
building the
she's worth
treehouse
it.
on Eartha Kitt's front lawn.
For sure.
And she doesn't really care so much about that, but she does care about the fact that that tree is fucking haunted because that's where he locked up the troll all those decades, centuries ago.
Yeah.
I
like how the troll has 2 noses.
That was cool. The design of the troll was great.
Yeah.
Once it comes out of the tree,
super disgusting, which works for the movie.
Which the trolls actually were designed by, it was the same company that did Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So if you look at the end, there are a lot of trolls that look strangely familiar if you've seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Interesting.
And they made them all like
that movie.
soupy and slimy and but like as once the troll escapes because Ernest accidentally says like a secret spell and puts his hand on the tree, and because the curse was on his family. He sets off this chain of events. The troll gets loose and starts turning children into wooden dolls. And it's really, it does get a little creepy at one point.
But,
and then he turns Rimshot into a dog or into a wooden thing. What
age were you when you saw this?
I had to have been like under 10. So it was probably like 8 or 9, maybe.
I may have seen this in the theater.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was 3 when it came out, so I probably didn't see it in the theater. But
no, I probably didn't see it till I was like 7 or 8, maybe 9 at the latest.
Those are the perfect ages to see this because it's genuinely creepy when the first kid gets woodenized, and the troll.
He gets a Woody.
Yeah, I was trying not to do that, but when the troll gets him and slides him into his base, I was like, that is genuinely creepy. Because also that kid looked like I did when I was 5, so I could see myself in the trap.
No,
you had the big glasses and the blonde.
5-year-old you would have been definitely a great target for a troll.
Yeah,
you would have been trolled so hard. Yeah, trolled so hard into wood.
Okay,
and put on a shelf.
But yeah, so that's how the troll gets loose. He goes around and is like killing kids or capturing them in wood nymph form. And then they realize that
to get to the boys' hole.
No.
Well, I mean, they do realize, like, they don't realize the solution to killing the trolls until Ernest finds 2 pages in the spell book that were stuck together. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
No, it's funny because throughout the whole movie they kind of allude to milk or dairy in general being a weakness for the troll.
Yeah.
Like they it's very subtle at first, but then they sort of start to really hit the hammer on the nails. Like it's milk. Like you need milk to beat this guy. And
I thought they were going to turn the whole thing into like a PSA for like, kids, this is why you drink milk, because it keeps the trolls away.
Yeah.
Like they didn't go that route, strangely enough, because
then like the troll later on in the movie just like, leveled up and went like Super Saiyan troll and like used some magic so that way he was invulnerable. Like not even milk could harm him anymore. So like there was like back to what Jeff was saying about like how to beat the troll. There was like some passages like the one way to beat it was like what the
heart of a child,
right,
and the love of a mother or something like that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so some weird like that. So like the love of the mother is like I guess that was supposed to be milk was the weakness for the thing, and then the heart of the child is like you got to show it love too, like return the love, and just yeah.
But the whole time they're taking it literally. So they're like, oh my god, do we have to get a child's heart? And get like, are we gonna have to sacrifice a child for this?
Yeah, this Temple of Doom.
Yeah,
right.
I was just thinking that.
But then they realize, and of course, Ernest, being the lovable oaf that he is like, "Come here, big guy," and then he's like dancing with the troll, and that's what kills the troll at the end. And then the spell is lifted. The dog turns back into a real dog, and I fucking cried.
Let's talk about something. Eartha Kitt welcomes back the children that were turned years ago.
Yeah,
are they supposed to be her friends? Because this is 91, not like...
I think so, because that was supposed to be
because she called them sister and brother. I think that might have been family.
Or was it just colloquial?
Or I'm willing to bet like she was probably an orphan and those are her fellow orphans and they were easy targets for a troll to take.
She was in a
we
cult.
See some children in that original scene where or Varney's playing his ancestor. But I had gotten the sense that it was like Salem witch time, not like 1890. So
Well, I mean, Missouri wasn't around in Salem witch time. So when they say Missouri, it has to be somewhere like right before the Civil War.
Yeah.
Or and like given that how the flashback looked like it was in the 1800s, so like either
It says
right
late
Civil War or right after the Civil War.
late 19th century. I'm assuming it's after the Civil War.
Like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. But she's not 100. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, that's the thing, because
91.
I got the fact that she was like a mystic of sorts and
So
not
maybe
just
she's
like
a little older.
So
Yeah.
maybe she's 100 because like maybe 1891.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see if my guess was right, because when that scene happened, I'm like, wait a second. When did that first scene happen? So
it says the Wikipedia page says late 19th century.
that's fine by me. As long as you guys agree with me that I'm not like, that's a little off.
Yeah. I think they were just friends or, you know, cult family or something. I don't know. But
Belong to a church.
Yeah.
The Church of Varney.
Phineas P. Worrell, was a very what's the word I'm looking for? Persuasive man, fire and brimstone, all of that.
All right. A little bit of a Pied Piper, if you will.
That's
getting
sure.
children to follow him.
Sure, we'll go with that. But
throughout the movie, Jim Varney gets to indulge in some impressions too, like Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Like he does a lot of riffs. For some reason, Ernest is really preoccupied with the Ottoman Empire in this movie.
yeah,
No, I forgot that whole through line.
Yeah.
He keeps bringing it up.
It's a little odd.
he just read about it in his local library the week.
I mean,
before.
maybe because like saying it in that like accent that he does, like the Ottomans, like, it's like maybe just to him because he's a comedic actor and a comedian and blah blah blah. Like it sounds funny and like he could do weird stuff with his face by saying Ottomans.
He was the original before Jim Carrey. He was the original rubber-faced comedian.
Yeah.
I like his facial tics better than Carrey, actually.
Yeah, Carrey.
I like Jim Carrey.
Well, I mean, Carrey's is deliberately more exaggerated. Like his is just like, you know, funny and goofy and like, you know, a more naturalistic way.
Yeah, I felt like I could get along with him. Like go out for a beer with him and he'd be a funny guy to hang out with. Jim Carrey seems a little much.
Yeah, I think Jim Carrey might like just go on rants and then you're just like, okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Who knows? Hey, we can't compare the two because one's already passed away.
We have happy memories of Ernest because he did this when we were kids, and then he was also the voice of Slinky Dog for the first two Toy Story movies.
That's technically my introduction to him, and then I knew of Ernest, but I didn't really see any of it.
Oh yeah, that's weird because like most kids in that era, like growing up with Ernest, then they watch Toy Story and they hear Slinky Dog. It's like Ernest.
Yeah, I knew who he was when he popped up as Slinky, but it was. I remember when he passed away, I was like, oh, now I'm sad there won't be more Ernest or anything else that isn't Ernest. I was curious if he'd have like a second act. When Ernest got too old for him to do, would he take more serious roles like Jim Carrey did? Would he make a new character to play off of? Like Robin Williams did several different things. But obviously we never got a chance to. And I'm glad for what we had, because now I actually can, even as an adult, go through all the Ernest stuff and see what he was like. So
yeah.
Did he ever have like more like serious roles, or were all his things like comedic?
He was in a Jeff Speakman movie where he had a cameo as an arms dealer. I watched a little bit of it. He's actually really good in the movie. He's in the Billy Bob Thornton movie called Daddy and Them.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
And that's a more serious role for him. And again, he puts himself quite well. He's actually a Shakespearean trained actor.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense because like when he goes into the Roman character, or
it's basically Mark Anthony.
Yeah.
It's interesting about like this one and like the whole Ernest franchise, about how like consistent the character is. And I think a lot of that is to do with not only the fact that Jim Varney created the character, but John Cherry was also one of the co-creators of it. He directed this movie and he directed a bunch of the other
Directed all
Ernest
of them.
movies, and he was the one
Maybe not
that was
lead.
running the advertising agency in Nashville that like co-created this character. So like, if anyone's going to be able to bring basically a commercial mascot, like imagine making a franchise like the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the Noid, you know, it's like it's I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. It was the same guy.
Yeah, I mean, they tried it with a caveman from Geico. That did not work.
That didn't work out.
I actually know the people that worked on that pilot.
Really
Yeah. I
interesting.
will not name names, but I went to school. I went to the same school as them.
Really.
So they're good guys though.
So
Listen, it's a paying gig, all right? You're
as a first time Ernest viewer, what'd you get out of your first Ernest movie?
Well, it was certainly geared towards kids, obviously. So didn't think about that. I thought he would just be a little zany and not like focus on being with actual children. I thought it was more of like, you know how Blue's Clues, he still feels friendly to adults, but he's definitely aiming towards children.
Right.
I didn't think it would be like that. I thought it would be more like, I don't know, like a Ronald McDonald, like a clown that's just funny to everybody. And so I didn't expect the like lower grade jokes. I didn't mind them. And there's nothing wrong with just being like focused on children comedy because he's charming and I would have loved this as a kid. So I always knew I would like Jim Varney himself. The movie's fine. There's nothing like crazy surprising about the plot itself. And I also didn't know Eartha Kitt was in this, so that was a fun surprise. The troll was neat, and I actually thought this might be a little scary, and it never really was. But
I mean,
I didn't know what to expect. I thought it might be a little creepy, like something a little different than what like Goes to Camp might have been. So,
oh, by the way, one of the characters in the movie is a sheriff who's the father of one of the kids that it's like, you know, part of the core of heroes that fight along with Ernest. Worst sheriff ever. Like he's the most incompetent.
Well,
like,
that has to happen.
Like, you know, when
like
kids like there was kids that were going missing and he's like, oh no, they're out somewhere. They'll come back. I was like, this is 1992, 1, 2, 3.
We're in 1991 right now.
This is the early 90s. Like after like how many years of cops being on the air?
We said it premiered in the first month of our podcast. It's a year and 10 months right now.
Yeah, so like cops being a national hit, and like this guy's just the like just worst law enforcement ever. Like losing kids left and right, and like, you know,
it's Bumpkinville. They don't care. There's one sheriff in town. Nothing's going on.
It's not even a one horse town.
They don't expect.
They didn't even have a
out of the
horse.
ground. I don't know. I liked it though. That's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would probably give it like a B plus because I was expecting to be like thrilled with this, but I don't know why. I've always liked Jim Varney's comedy, and I can't even think if I've ever actually seen a stand-up special of his or anything. But I must have seen like commercials or was just like, this guy seems neat. And I just always wanted to see these, and I just never got around to it. So I'm happy with what I expected.
Sounds like this requires a little more research. Gotta expand your knowledge.
You know, we're gonna get on that other retrospective.
Of
Talk about the other
ECU with
three
the Ernest Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, we'll have a special episode where we review the other 3 main ones.
Maybe for April Fools.
Yeah, why not?
If anybody actually like remembers.
Yeah, we'll see if we'll do some special episodes.
So anyway,
yeah. What's everyone else's grades?
I give it a solid A minus.
okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna give it a B minus just because in comparison to the other Ernest films, this one I don't know.
So I only have Up to look forward to.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, this one's the one that I've seen the most because it was on like Halloween like all the time.
Sure.
Halloween's a good month. It's not October. It's just all Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Let's see.
It was a good movie.
Kid Me would have given this a B. Adult Me's going for a C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't age well, and I can tell.
No, it doesn't. But like for me, like it's just 90% nostalgia. So like,
I honestly think I'm giving it a B plus because I'm thinking in my child's mind what I would have liked about it. Because to be honest, I wouldn't have gone out of my way if I wasn't looking forward to this, wanting Jim Varney to be good. So I get that.
Everything rounds out to an E for Ernest.
Aw.
Oh,
The importance of being earnest.
God, I
Yeah,
wish.
but
I really, we talk a lot about celebrity deaths within our adult years, but I do genuinely miss Jim Varney.
I do
kinda-
too.
And I like to think he wouldn't have gone off the deep end had he lived into this part of the century.
Yeah. I kind of wish he had done an importance of being earnest or something, like with the earnest character.
I feel like they probably had that in mind, like that would have been his send off, but then like his health was declining too quickly, so
Yeah.
they had like 2 other projects in mind.
Yeah. Apparently he got sick and died a few weeks later. So
Yeah, it was like really quick.
Yeah.
Lung cancer.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Anyway,